1 minute and 30 seconds. What do you think? Why is it so important that none of us is getting paid, yet we choose to be here at this moment in time? 1 minute and 30 seconds starting now. Go ahead and start. So the question I'm asking you right now is, why is it so powerful that none of us is getting paid? Or you need the full page? It's free, so don't worry. 1 minute left, 30 seconds is already gone. This is also part of the strategy you can use with your child as well. You want to bring a sense of competition and pressure. Right? This is called minimal pressure. You want to give them a time frame. At the same time, you also can assess their academic level. Within 1 minute and 30 seconds, how many words they can produce. You have about 30 seconds left. And the questions again is, why is it so powerful that none of us is getting paid, unless some of you getting paid secretly and not telling me? Bad karma. 10 seconds. Finish your last thought, write up your last sentence. If you're running out of paper, you're writing too much. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Alright, so I still have lots of beauty. Who would like to share the answer? Why is it so powerful that none of us getting paid, yet we choose to be here instead of going out there on a fun date? I don't know, this weekend. Let's go with, who was the last? Davi, can you pick someone and give this to them and ask them to share the answer? Oh, you can pick anyone.
Can I pick myself?
No, you cannot. But, Davi, you are so smart. I will give you one. Which one do you like?
Okay, I'll take the green one.
You take the green one? Okay.
I get to. Good morning, I'm Charlie. I'm from Home of English, but I'm actually from the Philippines. Actually, I've searched a workshop. I actually searched before education because I wanted to travel as well. At the same time, I want to learn different, topics or strategies in teaching. I am here because I'm actually a grade 1 student, teacher. And based on what I said, my first experience in teaching was when I was in Saudi Arabia. Imagine teaching with different nationalities, with different kids, with different backgrounds, and with different behaviors. And the thing is, I told him that before the kids cried, I cried first. It's because it was my first experience and I don't know how to handle them. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh my God, I got different, those kids, ADHD. We cannot tell that they're ADHD because we're not doctors, right? We do not have the right. The thing is, yeah, I'm here, I want to learn more, especially on dealing kids with different disabilities. Because whether we accept it or not, we have these kids in the class, and I want to know more. And I actually read what your background, and it was actually interesting for me.
How do you know my background is?
I mean, not background, it's the profile that you have and the topics. And I was like, I think this would be very helpful for me, especially the kids they're very hyper, especially in my class. And then sometimes I got so frustrated. I was like, oh my God, am I really effective teacher or not? What?
You are.
Yes, I think so. And the thing is, sometimes, especially in teaching English, they said which one is more effective and which one is challenging, the math or English. I could say I hate math. really, from elementary to high college. And the thing is, when I started teaching, I said, yes, we have the concepts, right? We have the theories for the fast, this one. But the thing is, the actual teaching, what are you going to do to engage the kids? What do you want to do to make the kids, lively? What are you going to do to make your class very effective? I mean, like, you want the kids to learn more, but the thing is, just like what you said, you cannot force the kids to learn. That's what I'm doing actually.
Okay.
Now I realize you are right. Thank you so much.
I'm always right. No, I'm just joking.
You're right, you can force the kids.
Now, thank you so much for your answer, but what is the questions that I am asking?
Oh my God.
Why is it so powerful that we are here? Because none of us getting paid. What is that not getting paid part is so powerful? Who else would like to? Any brave souls in here? Maybe I bring up the next levels of gift. Chocolates, always alright. Alright, let's do this. There you go. Chocolates always work. Okay, what is your answer?
I guess most of us here are more on our professional development as well as enhancing our self-knowledge of how we will develop more our strategies in the classroom. And lastly, maybe to make this day more productive.
Okay, thank you so much for your answers, and you get 2 tags. This chocolate, I flew it all the way to Sydney, to Malaysia, Myanmar, and finally here Cambodia. Eat at your own risk because it's been mailed. Now, so what I heard, the not getting paid part is because you guys want to learn something. Because you guys are self-motivated. You want to get better and become more effective. And that's what you need to do for your classroom. What can you do so that the child each day wake up in the morning, Mom, Dad, I want to go to miss the class. Because they want it to be there and not being forced to be there. The same concept to your business. If you run a business, you want your employees to work for you not because they want getting paid or a position, but because they want to be work for you or your company. They can see their future in that class. They can see their future in that company. And that is your goal as a business manager, your goal as a classroom teacher. And that's why I am so passionate in this field, and that I want that every classroom a classroom that kids want to be in there, and not kids that being forced to be in that, right? Because you know what? If they're being forced to do something, they would never learn. They keep telling in their mind, I hate this class, I don't want to be here, yet I still have to be here. And what happened when the child do not want to be there? What happened? They're acting out. They're doing something else crazy and not smart. Or maybe the employee would not want to be there, but yet being forced to be there because they need to earn that money for their living. They will not be productive, they will not be efficient, and they will not be creative. And everything will just drag out. Yeah? So our goal is how can we create the class that the child wants to be there. Alright, so there is, we're going to do lots of activities today. You will not get to sit wherever you are right now. You might probably move around. There is 2 attention signals that I will get your attention back. The first one, I will say, if you can hear me, clap once, and then you will clap once. So we're going to practice that. If you can hear me, clap once. One more time. If you can hear me, clap twice. One more time. If you can hear me, clap twice. Very good. When I do that in Myanmar, they clap 3 times or they keep clapping. Because we have the language barrier. Now, second attention signal. Because sometimes you might not be able to hear because we're speaking, we're interacting. The second signal is if you see I raise my right hand, you would also raise it and you tell the next person to do the same. Now we're going to practice that. Very good, thank you. That's another strategy you should do. You can do it even at a pre-K elementary level as well. You're going to teach the child, for example. You know what, Tommy? Every time when you see me doing this, you're going to tell everyone to shh. Right? So they would do it. Like the kid like to act out. As a child, they're growing up, I will share with you more, they want to act out. You come up with different sound, different strategy. Whatever you do, you have to get their attention. Why? Because if you don't do that, you're talking to one group, the other group doing something, the other group doing something, miscommunication, right? And that's where all the misbehavior will come from as well. So we're gonna practice one last time before I move on. If you can hear me, clap once. You can hear me, clap twice. Very good. All right, activities number 1. That's the one piece of paper. If you don't have it, raise your hands right now. And I want you to answer, not to answer the question, but to write down the questions first. So go ahead and write down these questions right here. First question. Can you help me with question number 1, please? You don't have to stand up.
What is your full name?
Very good. Questions number 1. What is your full name? Questions number 2. Can someone help me read question number 2?
2. Where were you born? City, province, or country?
Thank you. And then questions number 3. Can you help me read question number 3, please?
Which high school university you went to?
Very good. And then question 1. You see the kid is not paying attention, you ask them to help you to read, and then you indirectly allowing them to do the work instead of saying, hey, write down the question, right? But now you're asking them to help you to read the question, and they unconsciously in their brain will doing it, and then they feel very happy instead of saying, oh my God, he's telling me what to do. Oh my God, she's telling me what to do again. But you're asking them to read, right? You see the invisible directions for the child to do. So make sure you have these 5 questions. As you're writing down this question, look someone around you that you want to be interviewed, right? Your interview partner. So someone sitting next to you. And when I say go, you both will take turn interview, and we will demonstrate that for you. When you finish writing down the 5 questions, look up, give your eye contacts to me so I know that you finished writing. Thank you for your smile. That's another thing you should do too in your class. You always try to do humor and smile. Not like gentle smile, not like creepy smile all the time. Because your kiddo will be very scared of you, right? Right? So again, it's all about the teaching environment. The energy that you put into it will get it back out. Again, 5 questions only. What is your full name? Where were you born? Which high school, university you went to or going to now? What is your favorite Khmer food? What is your favorite song or movie? Now, make sure you pay attention to this part. Why am I putting Khmer foods in here and not Chinese food, and not American food, and not Vietnamese food, or Burmese food, or Thai food? Why am I choosing the word Khmer instead? Well, because we are here in Cambodia, right? So this is called place-based education, right? You want to reference the culture, the place where your child is coming from. But before you do that, you also want to make sure, like, you know, what are the demographics in your classroom? If now I have like people from Philippines, then I might like doing something else, then give them a sense of belonging into that class, that you want to represent all the culture. And that would take extra time to learn about your child. So the first weeks of school, every single term, you have to learn about your child. You have to come up with all activity to learn about them, and you're building a profile like the clients. See, this is where my business background coming from. Learning about your clients, fact finding. Where were they born? What is their favorite food? What is their favorite color? Everything as much as possibly can. So that when you do the lesson plan, the strategy, you know which person to make reference to. Now, if you finish all the 5 questions, please raise it up so that I know that you finished, right? All right, so this is what you're going to do when I say go. Can you please stand up, please? I'm going to demonstrate for them. So, right? And can I see your questions? Yes. Very good. So, and your name? Jen. Okay, so we just has his 5 questions. And I have my 5 questions. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to read the question that I wrote down. I asked him, hi, what is your full name? Yes. No, my name is Jackie. Okay, so I write down Jackie just in here, and then he asks my name, and then I answer. He write down the answers for me. All right, and then I go to the next question. I ask, where were you born, Vijay?
I was born in Kampong Chang province.
Okay, and then you ask me, so we're doing back and forth. Okay? Are we ready to go? 5 questions. Do it fast so that I can share more strategies with you because we don't have much time. Right, so in 3, 2, find someone sit next to you or behind you and write down the answers for them. So go ahead and start. Alright, you can hear me clap once. You can hear me clap twice. If you can hear me clap twice. If you can hear me clap twice. There you go. See, that's how it works. So when it's too noisy, you have to first tell your child how are you going to get their attention back during chaos. Yeah? Now, I will give you 1 last minute. Whatever you do, get all these questions answered. So last minute starting now. Go ahead and start.
It's not solved. Mostly first name is first name is on. What about you? What are your
Give me about 30 seconds to get everyone to start getting attention. And as you can see, if it takes longer than 10 seconds for your child to do something, then we'll get bored. The child is just not waiting for everyone else. But if I ask you to clap, it's super fast response. And it's actually true. Everywhere I go, the clapping is always working better than raising the hand. Yeah, because you always do that. Now, what I want you to do instead is I want you to give that piece of paper to the person you interview because you write down the answers for them, correct? So give that to them. If you write in your book, ask them to take a picture of that. Alright, you can hear me clap once. You can hear me clap twice. So we have communications breakdowns again. So what I'm asking you to do is that you switch the paper with the person you interview. Why? Because you just wrote down the answers for them.
Yes.
That's not your name. Right? That's the person you interview. So you're supposed to give them answers to them. Now, some of you write their answer on the book. If you write the answer on your book, you don't want to give your books to them. So you ask them to take a picture of their own answer from your book. Is there any questions, any confusions left? All right, let's go with, I'm sorry, it's the same, correct?
Yes.
Same, can you repeat the instruction of what I just said?
Alright, so there are 2 things that we have to do. If you write your answers on a piece of paper, you have to exchange with the person you interview. And if you happen to write your answers on the book, then you have to ask that person to take a picture of the answers.
Thank you. Do you hear what he just shared with us? Okay, can you promote him?
Yeah.
Can you repeat his answer into my yes?
អ្វីគាត់ប្រាប់ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់យករូបแบบហ្នឹងជាមួយគ្នាជាមួយនឹង answer ដែលយើង write អំពីដៃគូរបស់យើងហ្នឹងបន្ទាប់មក write answer របស់យើងហ្នឹងចូលក្នុងរូបហើយយើងថតរូបនៅក្នុងថតរូបដែលគាត់បានសរសេរចូលក្នុងរូប
Thank you. Did he repeat correctly?
Understand.
Okay, do you speak Khmer? Okay, did you understand the Khmer language? Can you repeat that back in English?
Same answer or?
The same as her.
Cái bài Nam con để mấy cái ai dương
It's okay.
You want us to write and switch the answer okay, to each other and then try to okay, so again, so you want us to exchange the answer and then try to if you paste the right answer on the book and try to paste the answer from there
Thank
by
you.
using the book.
the correct instruction of what I shared originally? Not really. Can you repeat that in your language? Because we have some Filipino speakers here.
Okay. Sabi niya, katanungan, sabi ni sir, gagawa tayo ng parang interview, tapos yung sagot niya susulat sa papel. Tapos pagkatapos ng interview, babalik natin yung papel, ibigay natin yung papel natin sa kanya kasi yung sagot niya nasa papel natin.
Thank you, sir. I don't know what that is, but yes. Is there any other speaker in here other than Khmer, English, and Filipino speaker? Raise your hands now, or I will ignore you for the rest of the Indian speaker. Okay, very good. But we have only 2 unique persons. I cannot ask you to repeat in Burmese because there's no other Burmese here, no other Portuguese speakers in here, so you have to go with English. I'm sorry. Now, that is another strategy. Yeah, we call multi-directional translations, confirming and validating the understanding. Whatever you repeat might not fully understand by the Cambodian speaker, although she might be able to speak English, but it might not be at his level, right? In the whole class too. So every time when we go into a class, we always assuming that everyone is at the same level. But they are not. Nobody is perfectly identical to each other. And that's why we're going to have group strategies later on that I will share with you. But as you can see, from one person to the next person to the next person, crisscross, the communication slowly starts missing. Yeah? So as a teacher, you always want to pick up people to see which angle, which part of the room that they might not fully understand what you want them to do by asking them like that. Now, I cannot do that to my child because they don't speak English yet. Now, what I want you is to reflect on what activity we just did. Why didn't we just let the child, the student, to fill out the questionnaire? Why didn't I just ask you to answer these questions yourself? Why I have to force you to talk with a partner and write down the answers for them? So think, start to think. Read the question and start thinking. Why didn't we just let the child, why didn't I just let you to fill out the answer to these questions right here? Why I have to force you to find someone to do these activities instead? Why? So think first, why? Now, my experience is this. Every time when you want to learn about someone, remember I asked you, first weeks of school, always find out about your student, yeah? Most teachers, everywhere around the world I go, they always giving out a survey to their children, to their student to fill out. And then they go home and then they read it. Well, only them understanding what the student is doing, not their classmate. Your goal is to get everyone in the classroom knowing each other by the first semesters of school, or by the first term, or better yet, by the 3rd week of school. This activity is forcing you to learn how to speak. Again, we always ask them to speak, right? So if they're filling out themselves, they're doing the work individually. They think in their head. They not verbalize it out. But if I do that activity, now they start interviewing each other. They practice speaking, they practice listening, they practice writing, and what else? What life skill do we provide them right here? Communication, right? Interacting, right? Most teachers are failed to incorporate life skill into that lesson. I don't care whatever subject you teach, even you just think you teach English. No, there are more to that. There are more to math, there are more to science. Life skill is very important. Imagine how awkward it is to tell you, hey child, today we're gonna learn how to speak. Very awkward, right? Even you, if I just say, oh, today we're gonna learn how to speak. In that I say, hello, I'm speaking. But is it really speaking? So you come up with this activity, you want to learn about your child, at the same time you're allowing each other to learn about one another, right? By interviewing each other, the question. And you teaching them interviewing skills too. So that's the purpose of this activity, and at the same time you get to learn about one another. Now, this is activities number 2. This is the fun part. I always want to do this. Everywhere I go, every classroom that I teach, I always do this. Now, you have the answer already. This is your own answer. Read it. If it's not your name, give it to people that belong to that name. Is it your name right in front of you, your answer? Yes? Alright, so I want you to number that is page number 1. So if my answer is right here, I number it page number 1. It doesn't matter which corner you do. So you put page number 1. Page number 1 is the page that you have the answer to yourself, that your partner just write for you. If you need paper, more paper, raise your hands now so I can give it to you. Don't be shy. There you go. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So you write page number 1, the page that you have the answer to the question. Make sure it is your answer and not someone else. When you do that, you turn, you flip it to the second page. It should be blank. Your second page should be blank. And you name that page number 2. Okay? Page number 2 should be blank. Put a number right now. Page number 2 is supposed to be blank. Let's go with, can I know your name please? The beautiful lady at the corner over there. What's your name?
My name is Alice.
Your name is Alice? Alright, what is page number 1 supposed to be? What is page number 1? Okay, can you ask Zach to help you? Zach, can you help Alice? What is page number 1?
Page number 1 is your answer. Page number 2.
Okay.
Page number 1 is the answer, and number 2 is declared.
Thank you. Can you hear that list from here? Okay, so what is page number 1? Thank you. Right, so that's again strategy I just used earlier, now I'm using it again. So I'm trying to model what the strategy I share with you, and as you can see, whatever I speak, I assume that everyone understands that, but then I talk not to mean to pick on you, okay? But it's just for modeling, right? So how can you tell that everyone in the class doing what you're asking them to do? Because I do see teachers who teach and teach and teach, but never having strategy to immediately assessing whether what they teach is effective or not. So this is how we do it, right? Circling communication. Now, page number 2, instruction is very easy. How many of you using Facebook? Raise your hand. If you don't use Facebook, it's okay. It's no shame. If you don't use Facebook, it's okay. How many of you using Facebook? Raise your hand. Keep your hands up. All right? If you don't, you can go. No, okay. So what I want you to do is to create your own Facebook profile based on the information on page 1. So you try to sketch yourself, you do whatever you can, and I will show you the example. This is from my student in America. So, for example, they were born on July. You don't have to put your year if you don't want to tell us how old you are. Like what their favorite food, what their favorite things to do, favorite activity. Here's another example, the islands. This is where I'm coming from as well. This is where the student was born, on these islands in Hawaii. So again, what is Spi's answer on that page? Question 1, 2, 3, 4, and what's the answer? And you have less than 5 minutes to do this Facebook profile, okay? Alright? Don't copy and paste your own Facebook profile. You have to do it based on the answer that you have on page 1. So go ahead and create your Facebook profile. There you go. The more pictures, the better. And I have to time you. You have this exactly minute to finish it. These minutes. This is another strategy. You don't tell the number. You say you have this minute, and then the kid just start to look up how many minutes are there. So it's 5 minutes. Yeah. So this is a way to give them the directions as well to get their attention. So 5 minutes starting now. It's okay. It does not have to be perfect. I know you are not good artists. That's a joke. Again, the more pictures, the better. Because I see your profile, all with picture, with selfie. So why you all start writing out full answer instead of picture right now? So if you like food, draw something that's close to that favorite food. I know someone else in here, just like me. She's like Majukurun, so I don't know how she's going to draw that Majukurun, but do your best. And she's sitting right here. Look at all this fun stuff. Just do your best, and I will tell you why we're doing this activity. Right? This is also part of the strategies as well. You do have some talented artists in here. I don't see the picture. Just square. You don't look like square. Ooh, I have full artists in the front. Fully sketch it out. That's so cool. Can you tell people sitting next to you that they have 4 minutes left? Go ahead and tell them you have 4 minutes left. You don't have to pull up your own Facebook profile. You do it based on answer on page 1, not on your phone. Ooh, I know some people still struggle with that Facebook picture. Guys, I'm not expecting perfect right now. It's just for the sake of practice. Just as long as you get the answer to those 5 questions. We have 3 minutes left. Now, this is also get to know each other activities as well. So instead of you sitting at home drinking your own coffee or tea and learning about your child, you asking them to make a profile for you. And you don't have to use those 5 questions that I have. You can be creative. Whatever you want to know about your student, you can come up with those questions. Two minutes left. That's my student. You don't have to do the same as he or she is. One minute and 50 seconds. And I want you to draw a big square and you title that as comment space. Comment, C-O-M-M-E-N-T. You always comment on each other real life Facebook. So draw a big space and put a title. That space is for comments. Oh, it's okay. Just smile somewhere on there. Last minute to finish your Facebook profile. Very good. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. So you always do this when you transition from instruction to practice and then to the next instruction so that we all can be on the same page. What I want you to do with this Facebook profile, I want you to share with someone sitting next to you. You just give it to them. You don't have to talk to them. All right? And one, when you do not do it yet. And one, when you get that profile, I want you to read your new friend's profile, read their answer, maybe look at their drawing, and then you give them one comment. What are the questions you want to ask them about their background? Or what do you like about their profile, okay? So you're gonna have exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds to do this, okay? So switch your profile, read their profile, and give them a comment or question on their profile. Yes, start now. Thank you. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Switch. You can switch 3 ways. Comment. You only comment, you cannot share because it's not real Facebook. Okay, right now you just comment. When you finish comment, you can give it back to the owner of the profile. When you finish, you can give it back to them. Last 30 seconds.
Yeah, very good. I love learning it. I like it. Strong something.
Last 20 seconds. Make sure you give a comment to your new friends. Last 10 seconds. Five. Can I get your attention in 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.9, 0.8. So that's another strategy as well because you don't want to keep counting. And when you get to 1, and then people still speaking, and then it's very awkward. And you make them feel very awkward as well. So you always keep counting down to 0.9, 0.8, until they finally stop speaking, and then you stop. Right? So that's sort of indirect strategies as well. This is you do to the high school level. Right? Or like you do during training session. Because if I say to 1 and they're still speaking, I feel embarrassed, they feel ashamed. So to prevent that, you add another 0 in the front, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it until they finally. Yeah? So that's what I'm trying to do. Now, the question I'm asking you to reflect on again. Why can't we just study about them through answering the question? Why do we have to do this? Now, imagine you do from page 1 page 1's like this, all written. Now you turn from written into visual, right? You just do to the brain. You turn in their words. Sometimes people cannot write out, but they can draw. They can draw out what they want to communicate. And guess what? As the child, especially in elementary school, they like to draw. And if you look at the movie, which is in real life too, every time when a child witnesses a crime, they don't ask the child, "Did you see your dad kill your mom?" or like your someone like that. They don't. They always give a piece of white paper and crayon for the kids, like do whatever they want, and soon enough they draw it, sketching what they just see. All right. Now you can see the get to know activity. I don't just ask you to fill out the answer. You get to reflect. You get to communicate. And now you get to visualize, and then you get to share with someone sitting next to you, and they have more questions for you. And guess what I do? I collected all these profiles that I shared with you earlier, and I posted in the wall in my class, right? So now we have an actual Facebook wall of all my students. And if one day I start grading and then I see, oh, John doing so bad, what is going on? I go to his profile, I try to see and learning more about him. And then question. And then the next term coming in, we add more thing onto it. And I ask you, now you guys go to your profile and add this. So at the end of the semester, or at the end of the year, they have a virtual Facebook achievement or whatever they try to communicate and share. All right? And that's building up. It's not just one day or one time's activity, but it's evolving. As the child, as you learn more about them, as they learning about one another, they can do this. So this is one. Now, some problem. This is me assuming a perfect world. In reality, it might not be that perfect. We always have this one little kid who always writing something that is not smart. Oh, you're so stupid, or like stuff like that, right? That is another strategy that we're going to learn as well. How can we manage this behavior so that we can help and prevent that from happening? Okay. All right, so now we haven't started any strategies yet. Those are just an activity that based out from this strategy. Now I will plug it out which part is that I use for this strategy. Okay, so hopefully I can share these 7 strategies with you. I wrote on here. Let's go with, can I know your name please? The person who's sitting in front of Zach. Zach, can you give a slide tap? There you go. What is your name?
My name is
Ying Han?
Yes.
Can I call you Han?
Yes.
Alright, Han, pretend that you don't know whatever I wrote on here. Can you tell me this square right here or rectangle belongs to number 1, belongs to number 2, or belongs to number 3?
Number 2.
Belong to number 2, why? Why is it belong to number 2? What is number 2 colors right here?
Purple.
Purple, okay. How about this color?
Purple.
Purple, very good. So this box right here, is it belong to number 2 or belong to number 3?
Belong to number 3.
And how can you tell that? Because they are
the same color.
They are the same colors. Very good. Stop. Now, see, I did not tell him that he is wrong. I'm trying to guide him by asking him questions, step by step, right? To empower him to finally get the answer. Thank you, Hans, for that. Now, this is what we call color coding. No matter whatever you do, sometime, maybe if you teach English to people who does not speak English, coloring and coding is always important. Numbering system is also important as well. Step 1, step 2, step 3, right? That's why I asked you to number your page earlier, page 1, page 2. So when I ask you to do something, I just refer to the page number, right? So, process, identify. I use this process from mortgage finance company. Every time when people come to our company to apply for a loan to buy a house, we follow this process. Identify, we call fact finding. How much they owe, how much they earn, what is their family size. I do the same thing to my student, who they are as an individual student. And from there, I move on to the next one. What do they need based on their current situation, and how do I do this? Interacting. Instead of writing, I ask them to also visualize, sketching it out, to understand the process. I time them. I time you at the beginning when you're writing out those answers. I'm indirectly assessing what are their current levels as well, right? And then at the end, I will decide what is my interventions as an educator of that class. If one student in 1 minute can write 50 words, while another student 1 minute can only write 10 words, what am I going to do to that child? And then I will group them up based on their this one, right? After I assessing them, I make a profile. I say maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 are falling into this group. 1, 2, 3, 4, based on their need, follow 2 more for them. So they seek something else to do instead, either acting out, or to do anything that let them escape from that situation. So this process is very important. Identify, analyze, and decide. And I'm sure you can apply this concept to everything that you do in life. It does not have to be in education. It doesn't have to be in business. You also can apply it to your personal relationship too. Why is he or he so mad at me when I'm doing this? Right? You always reflect and make it simple. Identify, analyze, and decide. Right? So our theories, number 1, this is what I want you to write down. There's only 3 theories as a teacher that I strongly personally believe. And theories number 1 as a teacher is, can you help me read number 1?
Study how students learn to change.
Thank you. So go ahead and write it down. Just 1 sentence, not too much. Our duty number one as an educator is to study how our students learn and retain knowledge. If we don't know how they learn, we don't know what strategy to use to teach them. If we use the right strategy, they don't have the ability to retain that knowledge, is still as wasteful as it is. All right? So how they learn and how they store their knowledge. After you write down that sentence, I want you to circle or box the word learn and the word retain. Right? After you write out the sentence, I want you to either circle, underline, box, or highlight those two words, learn and retain. Right? I'm going to take some someone else. Can you, what is your name? Davy. Davy, why am I asking you to circle the word learn and the word retain?
My idea, I think these two words are important and like special.
Okay, very important and special, right? So we're gonna reflect on that later. Now we go to duties number 2. Our duties number 2. Let's go with, hey, I'm gonna pick out my own friend, Win from Myanmar. Can you read for us, please? What is our duties number 2?
So duty number 2 is apply psychological science to improve the learning process and promote education success for all students.
Thank you.
PILES.
Very good. So these are the acronyms, and again, I'm using the language coding, the color, PILES acronyms. How do we have them remember? By coming up with memory strategy. Instead of remember physical, intellectual, language, emotional, social, you say PILE. Right? You make it shortened for them. You're teaching them strategy how to retain knowledge, how to remember faster. Now, you might not know this full acronym, but if you remember PILE, what does P stand for? You reflect back. Right? So instead of using so many megabytes of your data, you probably use smaller amount if you short it down to like that. Right? So again, I think of our brain just like computers and the amounts of memory space. The more I need to store, the slower it will work. Right? Basic, simple. So, physical, like I shared with you earlier, diverse learner, they falling under this spectrum. How are they in terms of their physical? Can they see clearly? Can they hear clearly? Can they understand clearly? Intellectual, their academic ability, where they are in terms of math, reading and writing. Language, do they speak more than language? Is the language we use is their first language? Emotional, how are they respond when someone correcting them? How are they respond when we put them working as a team? And their social level, how are they interacting amongst the community? Now, in this one, I want you to circle the word psychological science. Very important. It has to be scientifically proven. They do years of research. And if you have time, you can Google later on when you go home, how does this fall in, right, in terms of stages. As the child is growing up from age 1 to age 12 to age 18, they might respond differently. And move combinations of one to another. The more you understand about, again, and then for the getting to know each other activity, you also can come up with question or activity that based on these two so that you can assessing where they are. Right? So when you design learning experience, you want to see which one of these I want to assess today. So maybe in my lesson plan today, I want to assess the emotional level by assigning them to work in a team and giving each other negative feedback. Instead of saying, hey, you're doing so good, I want you to practice. How to say, hey, you did this very bad, and I want to assess how they respond. I observed, and I try to learn more about them. Right? You don't have to do this every single day. It's virtually impossible. I don't do it every single day. Maybe this week I choose physical activity. I come up with learning activity that asking them to move around. I want to see like how can they hear from far away. And then next week I move to intellectual. And then maybe one time I do all activity that assessing all these at the same time as well. So let's with whatever your name. Yes.
Well, my name is Soria.
Soria, which one did I ask you to circle or underline earlier?
Well, psychological science.
Thank you. How do you know that? Because
I listen to you.
And you
Circle.
Very good, right? So you always want to refer back what you just asked them to do. Now, the reason when I ask you to write or to circle something, because it's cognitively telling you that this is important. And when you look down through your note, you know right away that that's what you circle, right? For example, when you have open notes exam, I ask them, hey, if sometimes I say open note exam might be harder than closed note exam, why? The kid freak out, oh, which way? I don't know which answer, right? And it's wasting their time to look through the answer. But if we teach them the skill, study skill, to improve their memory, to improve their retention rate, then we will achieve that level. Alright, for example, I said earlier, the pile, which like their year, and which one are they falling under, and if you Google, you do more research, each state has their own different, and they also offer you strategy too. So if the child falling into this stage, what can you try? What can you try to do? What are some sort of activity to learn and to improve? And again, nothing is perfect. That's what I learned throughout business too, is to always learn, reflect, and making corrections. Every year, my set of students are different. I cannot apply the same strategy all the time. I always have to identify, analyze, and decide. For example, if I give you, imagine this is a textbook. Everyone will get the same textbook. Not everyone can read every single page. If I teach the same textbook, the same concept to every single one, I'm sure half of the class will be missing out on something. Right? This is how I learn. How do I know this? Because when I ask my student to highlight what is important to them when they read, when it comes back to me, the full page are colored in yellow. They highlight every single thing. And then I ask them, is this important to you? Yes. Is this important to you? Yes. Is it important to you? Yes. The child getting mad. And I have to reflect on myself. Is it my mistake or is it his mistake? I guess it is my mistake. Because whatever he likes might be truly important to him. I cannot blame him because his level might need that gap. Correct? Right, our series number 3, you don't have to write the first part, you just have to write the down parts right here. And can I have someone to help me read from the back? Sorry, just trying to make it back. Saying, can you pick one of them from the back seat to read for us?
I pick one.
Yep, anyone.
You go.
Do I have to stand up?
No, you don't have to. Just read the bottom part right there.
We also need to work in this subfield to examine our learn in a variety of settings to identify appropriate approaches and strategies to make learning more effective.
Thank you. When you finish writing this sentence, I want you to circle or underline the word that you think that I'm going to tell you to underline. Right? So go ahead and do yourself first, and then I tell you which ones to underline. So for that second bullet, which one? Which keyword? It can be more than one. And if you answer correctly, I will give you this set of very cool thing. I bought it from Australia. If you teach English, it helps you a lot. For example, you have 6 groups. You give one of these to each group, and then they pass. And then whoever said, write a summary of the story. That person will be responsible for writing a summary. Right? You don't have to assign them. And then you ask them to task again. And then the next student will say, write a postcard to a friend as if you were a character from the story. See, you're giving that prompt to do it if you are teaching English. Or if you teach math, you also can have math equations on here. And each person will be responsible for each equation. Now, Do you have to buy every single set? Because this is expensive, $20. I don't know, sure, it's too expensive, right? You can create your own cube, right? Based on whatever subject or topic you want to do, or maybe you have group activity in your organization, or like your teams leading, training, whatever question you want them to respond to, reflect to, right? You always want to take that uneasy feeling out as a teacher and force them to learn from one another. Now, who have the answer? Which keyword or phrase that you think I'm going to ask you to circle? This is very cool right here. One big set. Oh, so many people start raising. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't 4 of you answer? I have another set right here that you can share. Right? So you all can share. Are you from the same school? Is both of you from the same school?